I'm feeling so low right now. I worked so hard to move to Los Angeles to work in entertainment, and I had a great job which I managed to keep for the last few months. However, the pandemic finally affected my company financially. I can't afford to live in my place anymore, and thankfully, my landlord is willing to let me out. But I also have to go back across the country to live with my parents for God knows how long. I know I'm not the only person going through this, but how do I come back from this? I also know I'll have to take whatever job I can get just to survive. What if that ends up derailing my career prospects? I'm so lost right now. Anybody have any experience with this? Story 1. Now is the time to try new things. Do you want to work in an office or outdoor environment? Is there some sort of skill or trade you have been interested in? Maybe it takes a while for your previous field to come back, but contractors and most trades need people willing and able to learn the work. It does not always pay great at first, but it can later, and you can learn some great life skills in construction even if you go back to your previous work in a year or two. For me, I needed to wander a bit to find my next career. It took me about a year to figure out what I wanted to do. It was a humbling year, but I am happy, and I am focused now, so it was worth it to me. Story 2. I know it doesn't sound like it, but you are still very young with a lot of time. I got divorced with 3 kids and full custody and had to move in with my dad at 40. I'm 51 now and own a business that is doing great. I've been with a great woman for 10 years. If you are stressing, it shows that you know you have work to do. You'll make it. Story 3, one step at a time. Ever played video games like Minecraft? You don't run exploring the world until you fix the most basic stuff. Figure out where to sleep and how to feed yourself for more than the next meal. If going back to parents is the solution for now, do that. Dream about the things you will have later, but don't stay hung up on that. You won't have that diamond armor until you get iron. So take steps. Process the path towards your goal in these steps and solve each step. Story 4. Sounds like an opportunity for a fresh start with no baggage. Having family available to help is an important bonus in your favor and gives you an opportunity to know your parents better as an adult. I'm sure that many of the major skills you have from your specialized field can be applied to other industries or positions. Take stock of what you do or can do that isn't so niche and start from that new baseline. You might be starting from scratch again, but you're not at the same starting line you were at when you were 18. You're much further down the track. Story 5. First of all, I'm sorry you were going through that. But you are so very young and you don't have family commitments. There is nothing stopping you from getting on your feet again once the crisis is gone. Write down your goals and outline realistic steps to achieve them. Keep focused. When opportunities return, it will not be difficult to explain your gap, since everyone will have experienced something similar. Wish you all the best. Story 6. You are 27. Some people haven't even left their parents' house yet, so you are ahead. Yes, it's a blow to the ego, but the ego is false. Don't think about the what-ifs. Think about now and a path forward. Or don't. We are all in a bit of a holding pattern, and that's okay too. Story 7. Hi, mate. Firstly, understand that it's absolutely normal for you to feel like life has kicked the mess out of you a bit. It doesn't mean you are less competent or valuable. I have a similar story. I finally found a job that was challenging and satisfying, was starting to get really good at it. Achieving success that I worked hard for, and prospects for the future were great. Then I had a major injury that sidelined me for 2 years. There were periods that were awful during those years, but, as cheesy as it is, the best thing to do is consider these struggles as a learning experience. Whatever expertise and experience got you your foot in the door with your last job still exists, so try not to convince yourself that you just missed your last shot. Furthermore, the resilience you will learn from this period of time will give you a type of confidence that can't be earned without going through this mess. Moving back with your parents can feel like a failure. I know, I did it too. But that's not the reality. The reality is that the pandemic pushes any concept of normality out the window. Something like 30% of Americans can't afford their rent right now. As much as living with your parents can be a struggle, try to remind yourself that you are lucky to have that support. My folks drive me up the wall when we lived together, but they had my back when I was at my worst, and I'll never forget it. Perhaps one of your parents has been through something similar. Talking to them may help. When I felt lowest of all, I held on to the fact that my mom is the most resilient person I know. She's been through hell and yet still manages to be happy and take joy in simple things in life. I told myself, she's been through worse and come out of it in a place anyone her age would be happy with. Knowing that part of her courage has, hopefully, been ingrained into me gives me strength. The things that make me proud of my mom aren't her career success but the manner in which she responds to adversity. The way you respond to challenges is going to be more significant than the event itself. You will look back on this period and be proud of getting through it. Sorry if this is a bit rambly. To summarize, it sucks that you lost your job and have to move back with your parents. It's not a reflection on your ability. The fact that you were crushing it prior to COVID-19 shows that your ability is good enough. For the time being, try to focus on other areas of your life. Connect with your parents and friends. Indulge in some hobbies that you might not otherwise have time for. Learn to cook, nice to contribute to the household, and exercise. Get healthy and consider what you want to do next. Plan for the future and remember that you are more qualified for your work now than you ever were before, because you've had more experience. If you are feeling really low, see a psychologist. My family has a bit of a mental health history, but the right professionals have done wonders for them. If you pursue that route, and you should if you are struggling, then bear in mind that the patient-therapist dynamic doesn't always match perfectly with the first person you try. If it's not working, keep looking for someone who helps. Hope that helps. Hit me up if you want to talk more. I'm in the exact same boat with some immigration issues to boot. Story 8. This is a story I don't share very often. I graduated law school in 2010, in the midst of the Great Recession. The day I graduated, lawyers were facing 25% unemployment, disproportionately affecting new lawyers. I got excellent grades and was vice president of my school, but it was absolutely impossible to find an opening. You could post an ad about hiring an attorney at 8 a.m. and have 400 applications by noon. So they just stopped posting job openings. It's one thing to continually strike out at every at-bat, but this was something else. It's impossible to describe how demeaning and demoralizing it was to not even be allowed near the stadium. I used Google Maps to print up all 113 law firms within an hour's drive of my parents' house. Some had closed. Some I couldn't find, but I applied to everyone I could, which was probably over 40 firms. Every day for 2 weeks, I put on a suit, climbed into my car, and glad-handed the highest-ranking attorney I could find. About 3 weeks later, I got a letter. Dear Mr. McIntosh, thank you very much for applying with us. However, we regret to inform you, due to the state of the economy, that we are unable to take on any more staff at this time. However, we were suitably impressed with your attitude on date and will keep you in mind for future employment. I ugly cried. We're talking uncontrollable sobbing like had never happened before and never happened since. Somebody finally took the time to send me a rejection letter. Somebody finally acknowledged that I even applied. Someone finally said, "Hey dude, I saw that you applied." Undeterred, I volunteered. I moved out of state to accept a volunteer legal aid position, working for 8 months without pay. Impressed by my work ethic, they hired me at $4.15 an hour on a part-time. It was really full-time, AmeriCorps grant. After that, I signed on for 2 more years of AmeriCorps grants, making a total of $26,000 over those 3 years. My hard work paid off and they hired me. In fact, they made me head of a newly created department that I had built from scratch during my first 3 years. I was set to make more in the first 5 months of my contract than I had made in the previous 3 years. I signed the contract. While I was making my plans, God was laughing. The federal government shutdown of 2013 was ended with a bipartisan compromise. They had a 3% across-the-board funding cut, with each discretionary agency deciding how to best deal with the reduced funding. The whole office was on pins and needles waiting to see how the Legal Services Corporation would deal with the cut. When it came out, it was a 2-word statement: cut McIntosh. It drop-kicked my new department out of the window, and here's the kicker: effective immediately. At the time, I still had 3 weeks to go on my AmeriCorps grant. The boss told me about the cuts at 11 a.m., and I had my desk packed up and gone by 1 p.m. I'll never forget her words. Well, you can stay, but we are legally prohibited from paying you. Of the 40 people in the office, I was the only one affected. Got home at 1:45. The ex-girlfriend kicked me out by 3 o'clock because she was a greedy, gold-digging person who apparently only cared about my earning potential. Fortunately, I had done a lot of work with the homeless, so I knew all the shelter rules. I had to stay at the shelter for 2 days until my dad was able to come get me and move me back to Michigan. My work at legal aid was very specialized, and the cut eliminated the work I was doing nationwide. Seeing as how I was licensed for U.S. law, this meant the number of worldwide openings for my specialty was 0. At the age of 30, after all that hard work, I was back to being a stay-at-home son in a state where I was not barred to practice, with almost 0 experience as an attorney. Right back where I started. Best thing to ever happen to me. I got out of a profession I hated. Admittedly, I might have liked it if I got paid, and a borderline abusive relationship. I found a career I loved and a woman who loved me. Things might look dark. I went from the American dream to checking into a homeless shelter in 6 hours. But sometimes there needs to be a forest fire so new growth can take root. Story 9. Dude, I could have written this, except my career may be overdue to the malicious actions of others, and I'm still living with my parents. Other posters have given better advice than I have, but just know that you are not alone in how you feel or your situation. Story 10. Dude, I thought you were bragging with those first 4 tidbits. You're free and young with no financial obligations. Move back, buy a PlayStation 4, and collect unemployment while searching the web for similar jobs out of state. This isn't forever. It's for another year or so. You're lucky you have your parents. Spend the time getting closer with them and work out a ton. Get dumbbells and a jump rope online. Lucky guy. Story 11. Here's how you come back from this, my friend. You dig deep and tell yourself life is a gift, and you owe it to yourself to fight for that. Forget expectations. Forget what and where you think you're supposed to be. Life is kicking your ass right now. Big deal. Go to your corner, take some deep breaths, and prepare for round 2. Forget the stigma, my friend. You don't have to be anything but you, and you don't have to meet any expectations. Do what you have to do. You promise me you don't take this sitting down. Get back up and keep moving. You're a warrior, and I don't care if you're living with your parents. Keep those eyes facing forward. Keep those feet moving even if it feels like you aren't doing much. Keep moving. You're the man, and today you're going to start acting like it. So forget your situation and do your thing. You kick ass. Story 12. I lost my job in the first month the virus hit my country in the retail and tourism industry. No new opportunities have opened yet. I am still living with my parents, who unfortunately mostly do not support me, but instead make me feel like a failure. I got into a serious relationship, so that is a good side. Other than that, I am slightly getting depressed and waiting for my surgery in November, which will leave me bedridden for at least 2 to 3 weeks. Story 13. Based on my observations in previous recessions, I would recommend trying to stay locally where you have a work network. Do you have any friends to stay with? It's possible to get by with unemployment for a bit. Look at your options to last until the end of next year. Is there some adjacent field that could use your skills in the meantime? Look at marketing firms, website developers, and so on. Those of my friends who scrimped to stay close to their network and in their field did better to recover to their same level or higher than those who did not. People who moved away and took any menial job have had a harder time breaking back in and took longer to recover to the same level. If you need to move back with your parents, it's okay. Do what you can to maintain warm contacts in your network and job searching. Try to save up enough money so that when the COVID-19 storm clears, you have enough funds to move back for a couple of months during which you can job search hard. Story 14. Listen, this is difficult and it may seem like a huge deal right now, but things will be okay. Moving back in with your parents, depending on the situation, might be really good for the period it takes you to get back on your feet. Depending on the circumstances, you might be able to live rent-free to help with the financial situation. Depending on your relationship with your parents, They might be able to provide support and encouragement with starting over. As far as the jobs will always come and go. As devastating as it seems right now, I promise you, you will find another one and you will get back on your feet, no problem. It's hard not to live in the moment when things go bad, but it's important to remember that this is just a moment. Take this time to regroup, think about what you want moving forward, and start over. Good luck. Story 15. I guess in understanding that you aren't alone in this. My boyfriend literally moved to another country because COVID-19 destroyed his business. We aren't together anymore. This thing has ruined so many lives. Just know that you aren't in this by yourself and there's help and options. You don't have to live in your car like some. Go to your parents, collect unemployment, and make some goals. Use it as an opportunity to get yourself back on your feet. And stop measuring your worth by stereotypical American dream nonsense. You are worth more than that. We all are. Story 16. I feel you. I've been working so hard since 16 to make it in the entertainment business, specifically live theater in my case. I'm 25 now and I finally started getting steady work, finished my apprenticeship, started getting contracts at theaters where I had no connections, and finally got my equity card, meaning I'm unionized. All my contracts are gone. I had plans of moving to a different city to call my new home because it was central to my main theaters. That's not happening. I'm back with my parents. And who's to say when theaters reopen that they are going to hire a rookie like me before the veterans? I've been looking into new careers and it is causing me so much stress, anxiety, and depression that I've never experienced before. I cry every time I look at unrelated job postings. I've applied to full-time, part-time, and temporary jobs. I've turned down a few full-time jobs because I'm just not ready to give up on my dream and the career I've worked so hard for. Ideally, I'll find some kind of temporary work, and I've also been driving for Uber Eats in the meantime. All of us entertainment industry workers must keep our heads up and stick together in these times. No, we are all in the same boat, especially us young guys. We will be back. We just need to take a break for a bit. But I have hope.